All right, welcome back to another episode of the Kameo podcast. Sitting in the Uptown Motivo coffee shop because, well, the parking's great and the coffee's good. Sitting across from me is Sherri King, also known as Girl on the Go. I will let her share her credentials because I've already messed it up once. I dropped an extra B. And so, Sherri, what is your educational background and what are you doing at TRU?
My initial certificate is in graphic design, and then now I've completed a Master of Arts in social media. And at TRU, I work in international marketing for recruiting international students.
Perfect. And so you were just sharing with me that the reason why you wanted to grow your Instagram account was because you were growing someone else's online presence. So you created Instagram not that long ago in an all realistic sense. What was the idea behind Girl on the Go? Were you already moving a lot at that time? Or did you kind of become the image of Girl on the Go as you grew it?
In May 2016, I decided to take on Instagram and figure out how to grow my following. And with that, I decided instead of just growing it as myself, I would pick an identity and something that symbolizes travel and all sorts of fun things. And Girl on the Go was generic enough that it could, maybe this is a little bit outrageous, but if I eventually decided to sell it, I would sell the brand. Mm-hmm. So with my branding history, branding experience, I decided to create that brand and then build it from there. So with the blog and with the Instagram and just the whole presence of travel.
Yeah, okay. And that's probably why we don't see a lot of photos of yourself on it. It's most, yeah. And are those all pictures you taken and places you've been?
Yes.
Okay, so there is that organic sense, right? Though you call it generic, right? It is your work where
it is.
On Instagram, there's over saturation of these lifestyle brands that are just repurposing other people's content and pretending it's them, and it's kind of a shame, right? Because really they could be in their mother's basement and portraying this image, but clearly you live it, you breathe it. You are working in international marketing, right? So you are a world traveler.
Yes.
What's the most recent place that you've traveled, whether it be work, pleasure, or Girl on the Go?
Well, I had a wonderful experience with Rocky Mountaineer a couple weeks ago, where I had the full experience from Vancouver to Banff and a few days in Banff, and just. I can't really explain how amazing it is to see our beautiful province from a different perspective, from rails instead of on the highways. And so that's also what I'm focusing on this summer specifically, is different areas of BC and Alberta.
So when you say you're focusing on different, like for Girl on the Go?
For both, yeah, Instagram and Girl on the Go.
Okay.
And just blogging more and sharing more about our beautiful province at the moment.
Okay, so did you start the blog at the same time as Instagram then?
I kind of had the blog started, well, both of them were started years ago, but I didn't really do anything with them. So yes, in the short sense, in May 2016, I decided to grow my Instagram and take that on. And part of the whole research in building Instagram was having some other platform that's my own. So if Instagram goes down, if I lose my account, Facebook, same thing. I still have my blog, and all of my work that I've built up is still there and still mine because it's a self-hosted.
You're kind of like me in the sense that, like, part of the reason why I started a podcast is because I don't like people censoring me, or I've had Facebook pages go down for 3 days and they don't tell you why, and then they just pop back up, right? We're in this horrible world where you're living by invisible rules that they don't share.
Yes.
Especially YouTube and whatnot. Now, as someone who's blogging, blogging had a heyday back in like 2004 and 2006, right? Is blogging still as popular as it once was, or has Instagram kind of infiltrated that with these long form posts? Like, where do you draw the balance of how do you write an Instagram post versus a blog post? Are they the same, or do you have to write different content for each?
It's slightly different content for each, but if I look at it as my blog is the core, and all the other social media platforms all send people to the blog. So they're
yes.
basically all feeders for the blog. And then the main content, larger images, different images than that I wouldn't share on Instagram will be on in the blog. Like for instance, that don't match my feed, I'll put them in the blog so I can still get amazing food shots and different things like that, different experiences into the blog.
So you're sharing more different facets of your personality through the blog, whereas Instagram almost has that one landscape focused.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And you did mention I'm not in a lot of my photos. I know I need to change that and get into some of them. So maybe my next trip I might try to do a few of those.
It's something like
stick my face in there. Or something.
Photos where it does show your face have 3 times the amount of engagement, right?
Yes.
Which is definitely an interesting buzzword where now agencies are looking at not likes per post, but comments and that actual real interactions. And you mentioned that you built your brand before the algorithm changed.
Yes.
What was that like for you when the Instagram algorithm changed? Did you notice it right away, or?
Yes, I noticed it fairly quickly because I had, in May 2016, I had 308 followers, and I decided I wanted to get more than 19 likes on a photo. So I researched how to do it, and I started building the brand, and within 3 months, I grew to 10,000 followers.
Oh, wow.
And then within a year and a month or two, I grew to over 100,000 followers. So all of that was built on about 6 hours a day worth of work outside of full-time masters and full-time work. So I don't know how I figured it out, how I managed to get it all done, but it was done.
You know, it was 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there.
Yes.
It adds up, but when you have that drive, right,
Yes.
to make it happens. And you know, what sort of content, when you need to get inspired, are you reading? And do you have some sort of prolific marketer that you kind of follow that you try to consume, or you're kind of picking and choosing it as you need?
I pick and choose. I will search for if there's a specific topic I want to look for, or some function I want to do, or say how to get my blog post out to more viewers. I'll just Google it. I know Google is my best friend, and just read all sorts of different articles on that, and then put together my own version of how I think it should work, and tackle it that way.
Yeah, and we were also talking earlier about the idea of monetization, right? Because we're talking a lot about numbers, right? And really, the only number that matters is if you're putting 6 hours a day on top of full-time work, you know. How do you monetize? And the monetization strategies are talked about at length, you know, and you also shared that you might be developing an influencer course of sorts, possibly for TRU. How have you monetized, if you don't mind me asking? Or what strategies have you tried that have failed that you might have read should be the avenue people should take, but didn't work in your case?
When my account was smaller, I think it was even before I hit 10,000 followers, I would look at it as, somebody offered me a product. I got a new iPhone case because I'm a total geek. If I got a new iPhone case to share a photo of, that was like the top. So then it progressed. It was like, okay, what can I achieve next? How can I share an activity or a location or a hotel stay and share my province and share things where other people would want to travel here to see what our world is like here. So it's just grown from there. And for monetization, I guess you could also include collaborations such as Rocky Mountaineer. And I've had a number of hotel stays, activities such as wine tours, things with Sun Peaks, with Tourism Kamloops, Tourism Kelowna, the Okanagan Wine Festival, all sorts of things like that also bring it full circle. And one of the most recent ones as well was the BC Seafood Festival in Courtenay. So I got to travel to the island and experience all of this amazing food created by top chefs in our country, and a couple from overseas that they brought in, and just share that. So hopefully my readers will be able to see that and go next year. And so building up on that, some of the collaborations are paid and some are in exchange.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, looking at both of those aspects. Another part of monetization is the affiliate links, which I'm testing out a few, but I'm not hugely sold on putting affiliate links in my blog.
You really have to trust the product
Yes.
to put your name behind it. And,
Yes.
you know, I advocate the microphones that I use because, yes, someone that I followed online recommended them, but did I use their affiliate? Like, no, I don't think they actually had one, but would I? Maybe. But it's also, because I don't want to make that, I don't want to picture them if things break, that it's like, oh, they recommended this. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
it's that weird balance. And, you know, affiliates have they have an interesting place in the online monetization world where some people, you can look at the BitConnect. I don't know if you are familiar with that scandal, but
no, I
there
haven't
was
looked into it.
a lot of YouTubers were suggesting this Bitcoin exchange
Okay.
that turned out to be a giant scam,
Okay.
right? But they were getting all affiliate links from it, right? And
Okay.
for all that we could tell,
Right.
they're good people, right?
Right.
But another thing I want to talk about is, you know, as someone who does at time run really long distances, and I'm always trying to run a longer distance, right? That idea of always progressing and growing, right?
Yes.
How do you figure out how to turn off and just go like, you know what, I don't need to keep growing, or do you have to keep growing, but how do you manage your life so you aren't putting those full work days plus 6 hours? Or is it just something that you live, breathe, and like, my wife yells at me every day about my phone, so I'm just looking for advice so I don't get yelled at.
Right. Oh, yes. I can turn it off. I like my quiet time. So if I'm by a pool or some of these vacations that I take, I love the tropical vacations where I'll just relax by the pool, read a book. But even at home, I like to take a break before, like after work and before I get started on my own projects and do something like read a no-brain novel or something like that, where I can just power down and think about something different than what I want to do next.
Totally. And I like how you say projects with an S, right?
Yes.
You know, it's creative people always seem to have multiple products on the go. Is there any other projects that you're willing to share that you're kind of working on that maybe people can take a look at?
Let's see. I've got a few. Well, currently I'm actually writing a course on how to build a blog, how to build a travel blog and start making money at it. Because it's something I've been researching and something that I've put into action. And I have had a lot of questions on how to do this and how to even get started. So I thought the easiest way to do that is put it into a quick online course where somebody can just hit the button and read all about it, or maybe I'll do some videos or something. I do have an Instagram growth course online as well that I've created for using the processes of how I grew my account. And then I've also built another course for schools, for colleges and universities, on how to build the foundations of an online recruitment team. So they can recruit students through social media and the workflow, all of that.
Oh, so are you involved with the TRU social media ambassador team at all then, or?
I was. I actually built all of the international social media and grew the Facebook page to over 520,000 followers and built the ambassador team, all of that little bits. And then one of the ambassadors, he's now running it. He actually is a full-time employee now and is running all of that program, and I can focus on other pieces.
Brilliant. Is TRU where you met Brandon as well? Or?
It is.
And
yes.
so you met him and you pushed him towards, you know, doing this social media program in the UK. What was like what sort of things are you learning? Because with social media learning moving so quickly,
Yes.
right? And courses constantly need to be refreshed because the latest thing, or the algorithm this and the algorithm that. You know, what sort of things were they trying to teach? Is it more conceptual philosophy side of social media, or is it put into action?
It was more of the thought process and reasons why people may use social media for activism and all of that type of thing in social media and society and different uses. It wasn't the actual function of each platform. So it was a bit of a challenge for me because I wanted to dive in and do a how-to. Let's get this done and go. So for myself, it was more learning philosophy and background, all of that type of stuff, and actually focusing on academic writing, which is not my thing, but I made it through. And when I met Brandon, I had actually taken a leave from international division and went to open learning, and he was working there as well. So that's how we got chatting, and we both have that passion for social media that it was just a natural step to take the Master of Arts in social media and build up on that experience.
Awesome. Well, you should sip your coffee at some point.
Oh, yes.
You made sure to take a pretty picture of it before you sipped it away, and the heart's still there, luckily. With the growth of, I guess, live streaming coming up, is that an area that you're working to play and develop? We see the growth of Twitch being taken on by Amazon, and Facebook Live is a monster now. Where do you see yourself in the growth of live when it comes to social media?
I haven't really experienced much with live. There's two reasons. The main one is I always forget what I want to say. As soon as I feel I'm doing okay right now because I'm not on video. If I was on video, I would completely forget what I was going to say.
Now, do you think it's because you're trying to look at yourself and make sure the angles and the lighting's right, or is it just like the idea that eyeballs are watching you as you're speaking?
It could be that, and when that red light comes on, my mind goes blank.
Totally.
But the other part of it for a female traveling to be doing live feeds and live social, it could be dangerous. Mm-hmm. I know you've probably heard a lot of people say don't post what you're doing on Facebook that minute or when you go on vacation for a week because somebody might break into your house and all of that stuff. But there's also that thought in your mind that you don't really want to share with everybody where you are right now.
Absolutely.
And also the other part of it, I probably wouldn't mind doing a little bit here and there, but not like huge long videos or Instagram live too long in one place. But I like to enjoy my experience and then share the photos and put together a nice video and share all of that afterwards for a longer length of time.
So it's almost like it's a reflection after your trip where you get to relive it through your social media. So regardless of your followers and your likes and stuff, it is an opportunity for you to relive the experience. Is that accurate?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it.
Awesome.
And then also getting more for the brand that I'm helping to promote as well.
Yeah. And now what challenges have you had with brands in the past? Have you found that your goals didn't align completely a little bit too late, or are you always very, hey, this is what I provide, this is where the brand stops? Because I've definitely been in that situation, not with the podcast or anything, but other things where the goals didn't fully align at the very beginning and it just went completely haywire and just fell apart. Do you have any experiences with that?
I don't actually. We clearly lay it out in the beginning. Here's what I'll offer, here's what they'll offer, and then at the end of the collaboration, we do a review and make sure everything is all done and go our own happy ways. And but I do like to be clear at the beginning of here's what I'm going to do for you. Mm-hmm. The only concern I have is if I have faulty equipment or something and I can't provide. So I always like to have a backup just in case. But so far it's been pretty good. Everything has been great. The brands I've worked with, I've chosen ones that I've pitched as well as they've found me, and they all align with my travel and my blog, and ones that don't align with what I want to offer, I don't accept those.
Yeah, you kind of keep control because though it doesn't have your face on it, it's still a personal extension of who you are.
Yes.
And this might be a weird question, but to put into frame as people listening, there is a bit of a generational gap between the two of us. And have you found that generational gap, like, have you been able to bridge it? Like, my parents aren't online on Facebook or Instagram or anything, right? Is there a certain demographic or age group that follows you more than the other? Because Instagram is definitely a younger person's platform.
Yeah.
Are you seeing that come out in your posts?
I'm still 29 at heart, right? Most of my following is between 18 and 35. And I find that, because I'm so heavily involved with social media and with students, with recruiting, all of that, it's all the same age group that I'm focusing on. And it just so happens that the networks I'm in for blogging, all of that is that wide range as well. Mm-hmm. And I do have some that I collaborate with, some other bloggers that are in even the 50s and 60s and higher age group as well. So it's quite a range. And with blogging and travel, I like to share experiences that any age can do. So there's the images with the trendy editing for all age groups, and then the fun different experiences, local and overseas, that any age can look after.
What are your opinions on this idea that millennials have of being free spirit, live creative, never have a job? As someone who's been in the workforce before and after the explosion of Instagram, what do you think of us millennials who have this weird, bad haze, but also kind of people are jealous of it too, of this you know exactly what I mean. I got many friends who fall into this, I'm going to leave in my truck and just dirtbag it forever.
Yeah. I think it's great, to be honest. If you're doing what you love, that's key. And if you can make money, and if you can support yourself, and if you have a family, support yourself and family, and do what you love doing. Life's too short to just sit back and do a 9-to-5 all the time if you don't enjoy it. Mm-hmm. A lot of people enjoy their 9-to-5s. That's fantastic. But to be able to have something else, to be able to even leave your mark or just experience. When I first started with the blogging and Instagram, it was to get myself out and get away from the desk job and go do something, find something else to do, that I'm not sitting at a computer all day long. Mm-hmm. And then all evening long with graphic design as well, with my freelance business. So it's just to get out and do something. And then now I've kind of got into that whole same trend where it's all the creative. I want to be more creative each time I do something.
Absolutely. Well, we're coming up to the 22-minute mark, and which is longer than this podcast typically goes. And as someone who's been in international marketing for years and years, what's a book that someone should check out if they are interested in freelance or creative travel, anything at all? Could be fiction, nonfiction. What's something that inspires you and kind of you always go back to the well when you need that extra boost?
A book?
Are you a reader these days?
I'm definitely a reader, but I haven't actually picked a specific book. Basically, how about if you're going to a country, find a book, whether it's a novel or something factual that you can read about that country before you go. So you can learn more about it and the cultures and the people before you go to that country.
Yeah. Understand the cultures, their traditions, and try not to embarrass Canada.
Yes.
Which
most Canadians are pretty good.
Yeah. But thank you for meeting with me for coffee and chatting. Sherri, where can people find you online, of all respects, because I imagine there's even more socials that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, I do have a lot of social media channels, but you can find all of the links on girlonthego.ca.
Awesome. Well, thank you once again, and make sure to tune in for another episode of Cameo, chatting with interesting people around Kamloops. Cheers. Bye-bye.